Wolverine, a character that many originally thought were unplayable, proved everybody wrong, because Wolverine's a character that completely warps the meta. He can abuse tanks, dominate lobbies, and get you to higher and higher ranks. So we sat down with the best Wolverine in the world, Team Captain, and he laid out all the advanced information that you could possibly need to master this character to the highest level possible. So we're gonna break down the entire kit of Wolverine and give you tips and tricks along the way. Then we're gonna go into the advanced stuff, and Team Captain is gonna give you insights through every part of his kit, how he works in the meta, and more. Make sure to smash that subscribe if you like the guides coming out, and check out Team Captain. All of his links will be in the description down below. And let's jump into the video. Now, to first go over Wolverine's abilities, we have his primary Savage Claw. Now, something that a lot of us missed with Wolverine is that his damage actually scales with max HP. So you're going to be doing about the same amount of damage as you are to a squishy like a Luna as you are a Groot. And that's a really big deal because you can basically delete tanks in a way that other characters cannot. This also means for the most part, primary targets are going to be tanks, but we'll talk a little bit more about that with Team Captain a bit later. Now, next up is his Berserker Rage. Now, this is going to be a rage meter in the middle of the screen, and you're going to do more damage as this ramps up. It kind of flows into the natural part of this kit. It's not something to be overly worried about, but it is notable that you're going to do less damage if you have no rage, and he's going to get more health with his regenerative healing with higher rage. And this is his passive too, where if he takes lethal damage, he's actually going to heal quick, shaking debuffs, and this is going to zero out his rage. So if you are going to die and you have max rage, then you're going to get 300 HP, and it's just going to be a burst of HP that's going to be given to you after you die. And if you have no rage, is going to be 150 HP. So having more rage is going to give you more health, and this could be the thing that keeps you alive during a lot of your engages. And if you combine the total HP of Wolverine, it's 350 plus potentially this 300 plus potentially mitigation damage that we'll talk about in a second. So Wolverine could be deceptively very, very tanky when you combine all these things together. Now, it's going to be on a 90-second cooldown, this passive. That means that if it gets triggered, you're not going to have it for a very long time, but you're going to get 10 seconds off this passive for every kill that you are a part of. You get an assistant or you get yourself, so just being very active in fights is going to allow you to get this passive back. Now, one of the questions I had for Team Captain is how important is this passive for engagements, and if this gets triggered early, how does that change how you play?
So when your passive is up, you're able to take more aggressive plays and play more risky. You can definitely go for things that you wouldn't normally do when you don't have your passive. I feel like when passive is up, I'll stick around in a fight more instead of just instantly disengaging. So let's say I miss my leap. Instead of getting out when I have my passive up, I will come back again and then use the attack speed bonus from the leap to try and put some pressure on their tank. But if my passive was down, I'd probably choose to leave, wait for my leap to come back, and then re-engage. So it does change a lot how you play, because you can't really be willing to take a lot of the risks that you would normally take, otherwise you'd be completely dead from the fight. But I feel like when your passive is down, you want to be trying to get as much credit for kills as possible, because your cooldown gets reduced by 10 seconds per kill, and that's not for final blow, that is just for any kind of credit for a kill. So if you get that credit, you're getting -10 on that passive. You bring it down by 10.
So if your team is like trading out and killing, you want to just at least do a little bit of damage in there and
yeah, just one damage is enough, you know, like one swipe on their tank dies, you get -10 on your passive. That's value.
Now for his movement abilities, and first off we had Pharaoh Leap. This is a grab ability that's going to latch onto any hero and take them with you. It's going to be on a 12-second cooldown, and after will increase your strikes in a Berserk strike mode, where you're going to be doing more strikes and more damage with your Savage Claw. It's like a rapid Savage Claw, and you're going to basically be able to shred any, especially tanks, that you grab with this ability, and you can displace enemy tanks to places that they don't want to be. That's Wolverine's bread and butter, but Team Captain will give us some more insight about that in a second. Now, number 2 is Vicious Rampage. Short 3-meter range, and it's on a 3-second cooldown. It's only going to do a small amount of damage, but it is going to allow you to move around. And these were the main questions that I had for Team Captain involving these abilities. Number 1, how do you make sure all your Pharaoh Leaps connect? Who are your primary targets?
So when you're leaping, you want to make sure that you're as close to the enemy as possible, because there's a lot of verticality at the start of the leap. So when you are using the startup of the leap, your character jumps up instantly. And if you're at medium range, so let's say like 5 meters away, you'll overshoot your target every time. So what you can do is you can use your right click, your, what's that ability called?
Vicious Rampage, I think.
Vicious Rampage, you can use that to close the distance before you use your leap. So I use that, then leap after I hit the target. As soon as you hear that hit marker, you just use the leap, and then you usually catch your target, guaranteed, most times. But you want to make sure you're coming in from the side, not from above. If you like use your Visage Rampage on top of their head, your leap's going to go off their head, and then you're just going to completely overshoot them. So you want to make sure it's coming in from the side or coming down from the bottom. I also feel like a good thing to do with the leap is if you're like fighting someone on like a high ground or like a ledge, you can drop down from the ledge and then use the leap to come back up onto the ledge, because then the verticality will make you level with the person on the high ground. So that's a really good tech that you can do to catch them. You want to make sure if like, this is what I do a lot when I'm playing Wolverine, but when I'm using the leap, I also think about where I can go after I use the leap to make sure that I'm safe. The thing is, if you're grabbing someone, right, you want to make sure that you're grabbing them into your team, not towards their team, because you want to be killing the person that you're grabbing with your team. That's the whole point of the grab, right? So you want to make sure you're displacing them in a position where you can get help and that they can get killed. So that means that even if you do miss the leap, you're going towards your team, so you're safe after using the leap, you know?
Now after that, I had this question. How do you use Vicious Rampage combined with your kit? What does its low cooldown enable you to do?
So the fact that it's on such a low cooldown makes it so that you can just spam it off cooldown. You don't really have to be thinking about when to use it in very specific scenarios. So I usually just use it for movement, mostly. So I'm using it to get high ground, I'm using it to move horizontally, get away, dodge things, engage, disengage. You just use it for, yeah, all your engagements, all your disengagements. Use it to make it so that you're not as hard to hit. Use it for your rotations. So if you're moving around the map, there's really no point in not pressing that button, because it's on such a short cooldown. And the damage isn't high, so you don't have to be using it for like your main damage tool. It's mostly just for mobility, yeah.
Now the next ability on Wolverine is called Undying Animal, and it's going to give you a 40% damage reduction for 5 seconds once activated, and it's on a 16-second cooldown. Now last up for his kit, we got to talk about his ultimate, Last Stand, and this is going to pick up enemies and slam them down. It's going to knock down all enemies it lands on, including the original one picked up, and it's going to do massive damage that actually scales with HP, so it's going to do a ton of damage to tanks as well. And my questions were this: what is the main target for this ultimate, and how does it fit into Wolverine's overall game plan?
So with the ultimate, you want to be focusing, what I usually do is on the startup of the ult, you can choose one person or multiple to pick up into the air. So I usually pick up the enemy tank who's frontlining, and I'll pick up the tank, and then I'll try and bring the tank towards the backline to stun them all into the ult. And since the ult is also percentage based damage, you'll do the same damage to the tank that you'll do to the squishies that you're bringing him towards. So that means that you're doing AoE damage to the entire backline, and you're also guaranteed bringing the tank into the ultimate. And what a lot of people don't know is that throughout the ultimate, when you're bringing them towards whatever the location you marked is, you're actually doing damage over time. So as you're bringing the tank over towards them, you're dealing damage to that tank over the entire duration of the grab. So it's very useful to target the tank with the ult when you're doing that.
Okay,
and
so that's why everyone just explodes when if you travel them through like a long distance, like a Groot.
Yeah, exactly, because it will bring their health down like a good amount before you actually bring them down completely. I feel like when you have the ult, it makes it so you can be more aggressive without the leap, and you want to try and be looking for that big pull. So what a lot of good teams will do is they'll all play around like a defensive ultimate. Let's say like Luna or Mantis, right, for example.
Right.
So a Luna's using her ultimate, so the entire team's going to be on top of that ult because they want to survive, they want to get the damage boost from that ult. So they're all playing around the Luna, and as soon as you see that ult end, they're all grouped. That's perfect opportunity for Wolverine to just go in there, use the ult, kill everyone, you know?
Right.
Look for opportunities like that.
Then we wanted to get into the nitty-gritty and talk about the biggest things that we need to focus on as Wolverine with Team Captain, from tips and tricks about how to position to your decision-making process throughout the games. So these are the major questions that we had, and this is what Team Captain had to tell us. First off is, what separates a good Wolverine from someone like you? What separates someone that plays Wolverine at a reasonable level to someone that plays Wolverine at a one above all top 500 level and consistently performs?
Say maximizing your value outside of just killing tanks. So being able to get value from killing squishies as well. Like, not only can you just kill tanks, you can also displace like their DPS. So let's just say there are Psylocks on a flank, harassing your backline. You can peel for your backline and just grab the Psylocke into them and then secure the kill. So I feel like trying to think about what you can be doing outside of just bullying their main tank and just focusing the tank down, and that's like the only thing you're doing for the entire match. You can be getting more value than just that.
Question number 2. When is playing Wolverine a bad thing? When would you actually swap off of this character?
When they literally don't have a tank, which is never.
Okay.
Like that. People always ask me this on stream. They're like, well, if the enemy has one tank, would you swap Wolverine? And I'm like, bro, if they have one tank, then you could be removing that one tank from the fight every fight for free. He has no one to help him. Just kill him. And then that's easy value. That's minus one person, the most important player on their team, you know?
Question number 3. What is Wolverine's meta placement? Just how meta warping is he? How good is this character?
I personally believe he's like an S tier pick. Like, he is very, very powerful. Just because of that ability to absolutely demolish tanks. But I feel like Wolverine is very healthy for the meta because he will stop it so that there'll be no 3 tanks composition. Like, you cannot play 3 tanks because of Wolverine's existence. Exactly, no goats from Overwatch. We're not going to be seeing that in this game.
They needed to just print a Wolverine and we would have been done with it.
I mean, if you could see him like it's kind of like a DPS Mauga, like a more healthy version of Mauga, because like the way his damage works is he's only really annoying against tanks. So it makes it so that you can't really use those kind of cheesy 3 tanks compositions into Wolverine. You have to be thinking about what you're going to be, like, what your game plan is into him. But I feel like there's a lot of ways for tanks to play around the Wolverine. It's not just like, oh, we can't run any tanks because they have a Wolverine. There is ways to counterplay it. And I think, for example, some really good Hulk players are hard to play into when I'm playing Wolverine. Nevic's been one of them. He plays really good Hulk, and he does give me some problems. But I think, as a whole, Wolverine does have a place in the pro play scene, I guess you could say. Like, I was playing him in tournaments for the European Championship, and I won every game that I played Wolverine. I think every other game I was banned, so yeah. They also have the belief that I can't play anything else, which isn't true, by the way. I just want to get that out there. I can play other characters, but it's just, I love playing Wolverine.
Fair enough. Question number 4. Who are the worst heroes to face? What specifically can they do to make it more frustrating for you to get value?
The biggest one is Namor. Namor is like such a hard counter to Wolverine, especially now since they buffed his ice turret in the new patch. So now the slowing turret slows you even more, which means that the tanks can make distance from you way easier. And then you can't do anything against his turrets. So you can't hit them or anything because they'll be so far away from you in your engagements. So he creates a lot of issues for Wolverine, I feel like. But other than Namor, I would probably say Mantis because of the sleep, and Invisible Woman because of the... So I don't know if you know about this, right? Invisible Woman, she's able to push you and pull you, right? So she can use that pull to bring you back towards their team, and it also cancels your grab. But she also has like this orb ability, and I don't know if this is an intentional mechanic, but the orb ability does damage over time if you're inside of it. But for some reason, you can't use your Feral Leap while inside of it, and if your Feral Leap hits inside of it mid use of the cooldown, it actually cancels it.
Question number 5. When initially walking in to fight or out of spawn, what are the things that you do first? Setups, information, scouting? What are the important initial things to do on Wolverine?
So when I'm moving out of spawn, usually the first thing I'm doing is letting my team take space, letting them do their thing, and then I'll be waiting at the choke point for one of their tanks to either play near the choke or push past the choke, and then I'll instantly go in and grab them towards my team. If my team isn't there, then the grab is completely useless. No point in doing it because the tank will probably escape. But if you just let people play out, be patient, wait for your moment, and then strike, you can easily secure a kill. And then you push in with your team after getting that pick.
Now after that, Team Captain had some initial insights and big mistakes that a lot of players make that he wanted to share with us, so we're going to break that down now.
There's like a couple of things that people don't know, like if you want to save your passive from Wolverine, for example, I think you can do, instead of just dying to the enemy and like getting killed over time, just jump off the map. If you jump off the map, it actually doesn't use your passive. You can save the cooldown.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
A lot of people don't know that.
A lot better than wasting the cooldown, and then the next fight you're not going to have it. You have to try to be active in that fight. It just makes everything harder. That makes sense.
I mean, if all your teammates are dead and you're about to be staggered, you might as well just jump off the map on any other character. But on Wolverine, you're getting even more value from doing it because you get to save that cooldown. A lot of people don't know what maps is really strong for Wolverine as well. You gotta think about that. A lot of maps where you can take them off the map, very, very powerful for Wolverine. If you can take people off the map, Wolverine goes from being like really strong to just absolutely busted. Because the environmental kills, if you can land them consistently, is insane value. I'm gonna give you an example. You know Spider Islands? You know that map?
Yep.
So on that second point, once you've capped the first on the escort, there's like a part where the cart pushes through and there's like a little waterfall area on the left side and you can fall off there, right?
Right.
If you're playing Wolverine there, you can literally just sit on the building on the right and just wait for people to walk to the cart and just keep throwing them off the map over and over again. I've got like a video on my YouTube where I'm doing that and I got like 4 people off in a row just doing that over and over again, and that's just insta kills over and over again doing that.
Okay, is there anything else?
Trying to think. There's like really niche bunny hop tech that you can do if you use your feral leap into the damage reduction. I think it's called Undying Animal. If you use that in combination, you can do like a bunny hop tech where you'll keep your momentum. I've seen a TikTok or like a YouTube short where some guy's like, yeah, you should use this to engage. Don't use it to engage fights, just use it to get out of spawn really fast. If you're trying to get back into the fight fast, use it to get out of spawn. Never use it to actually get into a fight.
Right.
Terrible use. You use both your most important cooldowns and you also put them on cooldown instantly and get like 0 value out of the leap. So just make sure you're using that properly.
Right. I guess the last thing I'll ask is what's your stream schedule? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/teamcaptain001 and I stream very often. Might change because of my my university coming back to play, but I'll still be streaming when I can, as long as I can. I also make YouTube videos daily at teamcaptain001 on YouTube as well. I don't know, I think it's at Team Captain, not Team Captain 001. But yeah, you can get me on there, and yeah, I think that's all the socials want to put out there.
Now, this has been completely eye-opening about Wolverine, giving us so much insight from the best Wolverine player in the world. And if you learned anything, you absolutely got to smash that subscribe and go check out Team Captain's YouTube and Twitch. Follow and subscribe to him as well because he's an insane Wolverine player, and you're not going to find better gameplay anywhere on the internet, so go check it out. And I really want to thank Team Captain for doing this. But if there's any other heroes that you want to see advanced guides like this on, reach out to those creators, tell them to hit me up, and we'll make a banger guide again, just like this one. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm excited to do more of these, and I'll see y'all next time.